Here another Hackerrank problem that you will need to solve. So for this one is two string is giving two string determine if they share a common substring. A substring may be as small as one character. So I have an example here. Ants and art, they share A as a substring common character. And for another example, bee and cats, they do not share any substring um, as a common. They do not share any common substring, pretty much. So I do not go directly to Hackerrank to solve my problem. I like to have another tool called Ripple, actually to kind of like test manually my code and know exactly how everything works. So that's pretty much what I'm gonna do here. I already have my toString function here. But before actually to start coding, let's draw a little step exactly to understand what it's all about. For every time I try to solve a problem, I always go by this. Gather the data. I'll gather the data. I'll gather the data and I'll say data. And I'll either organize it if it's not well organized to actually solving it, or if it's already well organized to solve it, I will straight go to the brute force. And then the brute force. So the obvious visual way of solving that problem. For this one, we have two string. Pretty much, if we visually have to solve this, we kind of like go to this first line to actually check each substring I, H, F, and pretty much check if it does exist in the second one. So that will pretty much like give S1 at character 1. I'll go and check it at S2 at character X, and it will go plus plus because it will go through every single character of the second string to actually check if that character one exists, and then I'll go to the second S1 S2 again the same way. That will be the brute force, but we understand that's not going to be really an efficient example, but I will first show it visually to actually see what exactly I mean. So we'll start by going to make a loop. As I say, I'm going to loop through the entire first string. Is a normal old-fashioned for loop in JavaScript. We have an index and we have the condition. It need to be under the length, and we have the way to increase the index. So we'll go through the entire array. So when we have the first loop here, we gotta go to the second one. So that means for each substring here, we're gonna loop the entire second substring. Each of them, the entire substring. So that's why it'd be a loop under another loop. So the second one, I'm gonna use y, and pretty much y, the condition, s2, the length, and y plus plus. And from here, we're gonna check if it does exist. If s1 at index I, it's equal to s2 at index y. I'll add a console log here, so we actually gonna check it here at the console. We're gonna say yes, and we're gonna return yes here to see. And if it doesn't find any corresponding letter, still gonna go out, return a no. A no. So the same way, I'm gonna console log the no here. So we're gonna run because I already have my function here. and you have a yes because they share. There's a J. So let's see if they do not share. I'll ask X here, and there's no, they do not share. So this is an example that works, but it's not an efficient code, because if this first string become a very long string and the second one is a very long string, that's gonna be the length of the first string square, not even square, but times the length of the second one. So that's really not an efficient way of solving a problem. So what if we think of an efficient way of actually solving this problem? And every time I really want to find an efficient way of solving two array or string problem, I always think of caching. Instead of looping inside a loop, why not loop at both string at the same time? So as I give an example here, instead of going to S1, and then loop the entire S2, what if we can loop at both at the same time? So S1, and S2, 1. What if we loop at both at the same time, but at each index we kind of like memorize, or having a backpack that actually know exactly when we loop to the second loop here, and we have a kind of like a bag will remember every substring of the first one. So to do such kind of thing, we're gonna use another way of looping. For here, we have a for loop and even an index, the length, and pretty much the condition and the increasing of the index. So for this one, we're gonna use a while loop. What I'm gonna do is, how do we want to loop to this entire array? The condition is pretty much gonna say, I just want to loop to the length of both of them. So since we're not gonna be sure if both of them are gonna have the same length, what we're gonna do is use that while the index of 1 is gonna be staying inferior to S1 length, and the index of 2 gonna be inferior of length 2. And we actually didn't declare this index, we're gonna do that here. So a little recap, as an example here for loops, when you do a loop, you actually make an index, you make the condition, and you increase the index. So here we do have the index, both index that I'm gonna declare index 1 equals 0. Let's index 2 equal 0. Do right here. And within the while loop, I'm just gonna add the index, increase the index, but that's hypothetically we'll know what exactly to do. And as I was saying before, we need to find a way to actually remember every single step, to remember each substring from the first array. So to do that, we're going to use a hash map that I will call here cache. And JavaScript and object can take place of a hash map. I will create an object. In Python, that can be we call it dictionary, I think. Yes. So what are we going to actually do? So from here, when we have a way to actually loop to both of the string S1 and S2 at the same time, what I will actually want to do? What I'm going to do is, I will start firstly by caching or registering each substring from the string 1. So I will do 1 index 1, it will be equal to 1. I'll just do 1 to make it simple. So when it's 1 here, then I'll make the check that we did here. So if check now if at the end the string 2 substring, if it does exist in that cache. To actually do that check, we're going to do pretty much s2 index 2. So it's going to return us through a truthy or a falsely. If it does not exist, it's going to return a false, and that's not going to run. And if it does return true, it's going to run. And what we're going to do here pretty much is going to return a yes. And I'm going to do the same way that I did. And I'm going to console log yes here to actually show it. And of course, if it does not match or find a common substring, here we're just going to return no, and I'm going to console log no. And since here we increase both of index, it's going to loop pretty much from both substring. And we're going to try to run. We're going to clear this first of all, and we're going to try to run it. So run yes. Why? Because there's a common, there's N, J, and all that. And if I put no common substring and I try to run it, that's gonna be no. So this was the way of actually improving our solution and solving our problem. You can actually console log pretty much at every single step to actually understand exactly what we did here and why we did what we did. Yes, and we can actually take our example here and put it in Hackerrank to actually check it. If we pass, and I'm gonna remove my console log remove, and I'm gonna first start running the code. It does pass, and I'm gonna submit the codes, and it does pass. But by the way, let me just show you something before we go. The way that we did our first example here, show you that it does. I'm just gonna show you something, and yeah. So if we do try to run it, the code, you see first of all it pass. But if I try to submit the code, you see first of all it take a long time because maybe they put some long string here, and that take a long time, and actually does not pass all the case. And what it says, terminate due to timeout. So my code did not execute within the time limit, so they actually asked me to optimize my code. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you have any question, you can leave it in comments, and see you next time.